Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's 4:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, so I made one video this morning and I hope I got my point across. I hope I didn't just rehash yesterday's stuff. It was sincerely I wanted to talk about what I see with and I'm not beating up on Trump supporters. I'm just assessing a situation here from my perspective. Um, All right, I want to talk about something else before I don't want to get back into that. Uh, I'm using the term one sixers to instead of the name because I can't say it, I will get demonetized here. I will have no advertising if I use this term. So I'm using the phrase one sixers. It's kind of outlaw prison lingo, and most people will be able to figure it out. One sixers. All right, so Trump, in his infinite paranoia and effort to point blame, seriously, singled out one sixers as this terroristic threat that's causing these riots. Again, when he says this, it's an effort to assert control over a situation he does not understand, nor wants to understand. An effort to blame a specific entity that may or may not even exist. Take the deep state comes to mind here, and to rally his. I'm trying so hard not to say ignorant base. All right, so in the news now, um, there's reports that armed militia, far right, are patrolling streets in the Midwest. I think like in Iowa, um, and the right. See, this is another prevailing theme coming out of in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the media, social media outlets that from the far right that they try to try to show these protests as violent. And in every post, you see a shot. It's got to be at night. It's got to have big flames with silhouetted people in the with no shirts on. You know, it's got to be as scary as possible. If you look at today's headlines, peaceful protests, hundreds of thousands of people yesterday, Saturday, peaceful protests. So I'm interested to see how they're going to try to portray this. This is how it's portrayed in the right wing media in Trump land. That were burning everything down. So these armed militia are patrolling the streets in certain towns in the Midwest. Paranoia, saying that if you think you're coming to our town to loot and pillage, you better think again because we ain't having it. That's an exact quote from one of these Midwest towns. Um, and supposedly, in this paranoid world, that the word is that one Sixers, this group, is what's controlling these protests. Like I said, I don't know if it's a conscious effort to misunderstand the Black Lives Matter movement and what it is about. It's taking the move. It's in their eyes. It's taking what's happening, and they're trying to hijack it and make it about something totally different that they can call unpatriotic, so they can get their guns out and fight against it. They're twisting it to try to make it illegal, to try to make it acceptable for them to get fully armed and fight. So it made me very happy to see that there was peaceful protests across the country, and I think the majority of Americans understand what's going on here. Um, it's not some paranoid, made-up organization that's busing people into little towns to loot and pillage and terrorize the residents, because that's what a lot of Trump supporters are believing right now. And then if Trump supporters and the far right, or just the mainstream right now, the mainstream right wing is the far right now. They're showing pictures of it's. They always show bridges and highways being blocked because that stops the economy, and God forbid the economy or a dollar is lost, because then it's their Lord and Savior will not be reelected. So when they see any highway being shut, and they love to portray, I know there's pictures being used out there that came from last week trying to show it as something that's still going on, and it's not. These protests are almost all exclusively peaceful across the entire country. They're making their point. One of the most beautiful things is in Washington, D.C., how the mayor had Black Lives Matter square painted on the road. That's freaking beautiful, man. I love it. It's hijacking. It's willful ignorance, a willful attempt at willful ignorance to pretend what's happening with black people being singled out for just living their lives, being shot, being accused of robbing houses when they're out exercising. And they want to ignore that. They want that just to fade back into the background and make it about something else. Make it about this scary terrorist. Gotta use the word terrorism. That's a dog whistle for Trump supporters. Oh my God, anti-patriotic terrorists just want to take down our great Trump. And I just keep seeing these posts, and I see these Trump supporters complaining. And if they can't complain, now that the looting is obviously not happening, there's no buildings being burned, there's no looting. For 99.9% of these protests, it's peaceful. Then they start making the issue of the roads being closed because God forbid they're late to go get their Dunkin' Donuts or their McDonald's or go get their nails done. All the Karens out there are having a fit because they have to sit in traffic for an extra 20 minutes or a half hour. God forbid. I wish they had the same outrage when with Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd. I wish they had that same outrage they have when they're sitting in the traffic and they're late for their nails or getting their hair done, and they're on Facebook typing away, complaining about these terrible protesters blocking the road. How dare them slow me down, get my nails done. Because then, God forbid, a person of color is going to be in getting her nails done before you. And oh my God. Then all hell will break loose. It's got to stop, man. It's got to stop. It's not about this terrorist group. It has nothing to do with them. It has absolutely nothing to do with them. And I love the fact that as this week has gone on, the protests have matured and grown into a real movement that makes me proud. Black Lives Matter.